A very good evening to all of you. We are the FOSS community of Rajarata University of Sri Lanka. Today, we are going to hold a session about Angular. And for that, we have invited our guest speaker, Mr. Dhanushka Chandana, tech lead at Cambio Software Engineering, co-organizer at NG Sri Lanka, and community lead of FOSS Sri Lanka. Hello, Dhanushka. How are you doing?
Hi, Nangi. I'm doing good today. Thank you for the introduction. So let me share my screen and hope you all can hear me clearly. And I guess hope you can see me as well, right? Hello.
Yes, sir. We
Hello.
can hear you and see you properly. Yeah.
Okay. Screen share is also available, right?
Yes.
Okay, super. Then I'll start then. Uh, so this session is mainly about introduction to Angular and things you need to know about when you are going to start developing with Angular, and some of the history kind of things and things you need to learn. So that is the content you guys are going to see for the next around 1 hour. Yeah, let's see. So I think introduction is given. I'm going to skip this one, and so let's discuss. So what is Angular? So this is the main question of the session. So what is Angular? So this is the question I'm going to answer first. So if we tell it in a simple ways, Angular is a framework uh, which can be used to build a single page applications using HTML and TypeScript. So that is it, and you can use CSS and the stylings as well. I haven't mentioned it here because the core is coming from the HTML and TypeScript. So simply Angular is written in TypeScript, and Angular has some kind of history behind it. I will tell a bit about it as well. And it is a it's a framework, and I would like to call it as a very well organized framework with different kind of features. It comes with a set of core functionalities and optional functionalities which can be included as libraries like that. So that's a well organized one. And if I tell a bit about what is a single page application, single page application is a web application which dynamically rewrite the current web page or current document without loading the entire page. So that is the simple explanation about SPA. And if you guys have any questions, just drop it in the chat, or yeah, drop it in the chat, and I will try to answer in the middle, or otherwise I will tell the things in the at the end of the slide. So that is it. At the moment, there is a version Angular 12, which expires in the next year as support, but it is now available, and you can try this blog link. It contains all the details you need to know about basic things like what is the change log and what are the new features available, because in every Angular update, Angular team provides a set of very valuable features.
මේ Zoom එකක්.
So Angular provides lots of good features, and a very helpful one based on the community request as well, because Angular is an open source framework. So actually we are always discussing about the Angular, and let's talk about what is the problem that Angular solves actually. So when we are loading an application or web application, we just type the URL in the browser, and we hit enter and application loads. So that is it. But behind that, when we load a web application, it comes with HTML, JSS, and CS. So that is how browser can understand it. Though we see different kind of elements, pictures, and animations, but that is not those are not the things that browser can understand. Only browser can understand HTML, CSS, and JS stuff. So after that, if we think about the code we are writing, if the browser can only understand JS, HTML, and CS, we will have to tell it in the way that browser understands. But the thing is, actually writing it in that way is a bit hard, because that is how we were doing earlier. We will be having a large code base with very hard to read code segments if we are writing in that manner, because writing in JavaScript is also a kind of a, it will bring you the large code base with different kind of events and like many functions and so on. So that is how we were doing earlier. So if we think about our HTML element, so I told that we were in the first place when we are working with PHP, we were loading whole page again and again when we have an update. But later we injected JavaScript and Ajax requests like that to update the UI for the simple tasks. But after that, people wanted to update it in a more deeper way. So that is the story behind that. So this is the uh, document or web page you are seeing. It will contain HTML element and head and body and your title and other things, text, div elements, p tags, like so on. It will be there. So when we are loading a web application or web page, those things will be loaded all the time. And I think if we want to update very small element, like think I want to update my title to my title to, so to just to update that small thing, we will have to render the whole web application web page to get that update. So that is how, like, if we are updating simple things without JavaScript support. But later things got bit changed. jQuery introduced, and jQuery helped us in a way to write JavaScript more simple manner. It was better than earlier actually. But with jQuery, there were several other frameworks out there to support or to cater that requirement of updating the UI without getting into much problems. Because I mentioned that browser only can understand JS, HTML, and CSS, but we cannot write in that all the way. So that is what jQuery is doing in the under the hood as well. But with these frameworks like Knockout, Backbone, Ember, and AngularJS is the first version of Angular. The one we are using is coming from Angular 2. Uh, so those things came into play just to make the developers' life easier to write those kind of manipulations or updating the browser pages, document, like so on. So that is the story behind it. Then after AngularJS, Angular updated to Angular 2 with lots of new features. Actually, if I tell, everything got changed. The way we write Angular completely got changed after Angular 2. Now we are in the Angular 2 plus versions like 5, 6, 7, 8, 12. Now we are on 12. So that is how Angular evolved. And that is the story behind Angular actually. History and after migrating from AngularJS to Angular. Now it is calling Angular instead of AngularJS. And to start development with AngularJS, you will need to set up your development environment. Actually, Angular supports itself for that as well, because it comes with lots of features. Because it is a framework, it provides a whole infrastructure and kind of things to make the developer life easier. So you will need a very simple things. You will need a code editor, Visual Studio Code, WebStorm, or any other editor. I'm just mentioning these two. And you will need Node and NPM, and as well as you will need Angular CLI. So Angular CLI is a command line tool. You can install it using this command globally. Then you can create Angular applications whenever you want. I will tell about it later. And if we tell a little bit about Angular CLI, it's a command line interface tool. You know what is a command line interface tool thing? A simple application which we can run on the CMD. And with that, you can initialize or create Angular application using the command I have added here, ng new getting started. Getting started will be the project name. If you want to create in a different name, you can replace it like that. And you can develop scaffolding and maintaining application, like executing all the things related to Angular will be on the Angular CLI. So that is it. And once you create the application, you just need to go into that folder, just type ngserve, then it will open up your web application, which is ready to update to cater your requirements or your needs, like that. And so this will be the initial page or home page once you start serving the Angular application for the first time. So I'm not sure this is changed, but this is the one this is the UI. It was there when I was taking this screenshot. So here you can go to the documentation and blog, and you can learn about how to create new component, adding dependencies, like all the things will be there, because Angular is a kind of a community framework, not kind of, actually it's a community framework. So it always try to provide a better experience for the developers, and it is coming from the community as well. So that is it. So that is how you need to prepare to learn Angular. But in order to get the best of Angular, you need to have several fundamental concepts. So that is what we are going to discuss. And if you have any questions, just drop it and tell me if I'm going too fast, or that is also fine. I can slow down. And I have listed down things you need to learn basically in order to get in touch with Angular. You will need to know about how to write and working with components. You will need to learn about modules and templates and data bindings, and how to write services and dependency injection, not in a deeper level, but you just need to know there is such a thing, and pipes and routing. So those are the main things which I'm going to cover here. But to be a better developer, or get the best of best from Angular, you will need to learn several more things. I will tell about those things at the end of the slide. You can just Google it and find those things easily. But these are the things which I am going to discuss mainly. So components. Components is a basic building block of Angular framework. Actually, not in Angular framework, in almost every SPA frameworks or libraries like React. Component is the basic building block. So Angular is your Angular application built on top of components. Like your Angular application will be a set of components. So that is it. And so I will tell how you can organize components and how you can think in the perspective of components as well. So I have taken this example screenshot from the angular.io. It has a good documentation and learning documentation as well. So if we take this UI, we can separate this UI into several components. Like we can think the my store and checkout part as the top bar, and we can think the blue part, not blue, actually a purple part, as product list, the list of the products. It can be considered as another component. And all the things that contain the app bar and app product list can be considered as app root. So one, because when we are telling Angular to take my all components and just display it in the browser, we need to provide a root component. Angular cannot take like array of components. So we need to tell how my component tree is organized. So this is how we can think as a component tree. The top one, root component and root template, because the component is mentioned in here in the sense of the Angular component file. But when we can think the total part as an Angular component, because that is how component identifies. So you can think it as a tree. Actually, it is a tree, as you have seen in the earlier. You have seen that we have HTML root and title, body, like so on. So that is it. It will be a tree, and that is the tree you are going to build when you are building application. So you just need to think in the perspective of the component structuring and component hierarchy to organize your application well. So well organized applications will perform in a better way. So think how you can reduce the duplicate codes, and when you are seeing UI, you will notice how you need to organize your components. And component doesn't need to be a reusable one always. That can be a one-time using one. That is also a valid component, but mainly we can think about component as something we can use as a reusable one, like top bar and the product list, and each item we can consider as a product item, like that. uh, and so this is the component of Angular, which is written in TypeScript. So this will be the code you will see when you are starting working with Angular examples. And the initial component will also be look like this. The when you are writing in ngserve after creating the Angular application, it will be also similar to this. So it will contain component annotation. So this is something coming from the Angular internals and other things. I'm not going to discuss it in here, but this is the structure, and you will see constructors and other return methods, how you can uh, write methods, and how you can update the values, like those things it will be there. And every Angular application has at least one component. So that is what we have seen, right? Earlier we have seen there's app root, so at least one component, root component, that is the one connecting to the Angular DOM. I will show you how it is happening in the code base. I have prepared a very small application, not prepared actually, something I have prepared earlier. I'm going to show it, then you can understand how it is going to be bind. And each component defines a class that contains application data and logic, and the HTML template which defines the view. So that is it. So there is a component file which defines the logic, and there is a template which defines the UI. So that is how Angular connects together. Then using the selector here, not selector, sorry, a template here, template URL, you are connecting your component with the HTML page. And with the selector, you are providing a way to identify this component specifically. So that is how this component annotation properties are working. And so I told about this Angular component annotation or decorator, identify the class and it metadata. So those are the things considered as a metadata. Selector is a metadata value, like that. So that is how HTML file and the TypeScript file are connected together in the Angular container. And it is simply like that. You can connect API properties, and it will be available in the different ways. Like you can see we are implementing on init, that is a life cycle, because Angular TypeScript file is the main place we are injecting all the Angular binded features mainly, but not mostly like that. In the HTML page as well, we are leveraging the features of Angular. And the next thing is modules. So that is all about components. The next thing is modules. I will tell about module is a like of uh, container of components. Think you are developing a large application, right? When you are developing a large application, you will see there are several components that fits together, or they are working together. Like if we think about products is a one module, we can think it as a one module because that is a one particular domain in the application. And you can think cart functionality as a different module because it comes with its own functionalities and its own UIs, right? So it is, we can be considered as a separate module. So with modules, it is all about how we are organizing our application and how we are managing. And modules are very useful when we are working with lazy loading as well, which I'm not going to cover here, but just for your information, when we are working with lazy loading, modules is the one core thing we need to know. And in modules, we are thinking about ng module. So it is ng module like decorator. and it tells the compiler, I am a module and I am coming with those things, just accept me and use me, like that. That is it. So all Angular libraries are Angular modules, because in the architecture of the Angular provides supports to add another modules. It is all about the way of organizing our application, but they have extended the support in that way to keep the architecture in a more, how can I say, more dynamic manner. More dynamic manner. Like when you create an initial application, it won't include all the other things you need. It will only contain the basic things just to run the application. But if you need any other features like forms, you need to send HTTP requests, and you need routing, and you can include router module from the CLI as well. But if you need that kind of additional features which comes as a libraries, you just need to import them to your root module. Otherwise, those won't be available. And if you think about some other third-party libraries like Material Design and Ionic and like Angular Fire, like those things are also available as ng modules. So that is how Angular organizes its structure. And as I mentioned, ng module is also a class, but that comes with ng module decorator. Like decorator comes with metadata, you know that already. And so this is the sample Angular module. When you are when you just create a simple application, that is the one you will see. ng module, declarations and imports, providers. So all the metadata required for the app module will be there, and bootstrapping also included. I'm not going to cover here, but bootstrapping is the process of initiating your Angular application, and like that. So import is the place we are going to import other modules. So you can see the browser module, which is initial one required for the initial rendering, is imported by default. But if you need any other features, you will need to add it manually. And the next thing, templates and data binding. So I have told that earlier. Angular comes with two parts when we are telling about a component, which is a template or HTML part and a TypeScript part, right? Then we need to make sure the component and HTML part are communicating together, because I mentioned that our logic and values are contained in the component or TypeScript file, but the view or things we are displaying to the user will be available on the template or HTML part. So those two need to share their data and update accordingly to provide a better user experience and to make it a valid one as well. So now we are going to talk about how this markup or HTML part will be connecting to your logic part, and how it is updating the DOM accordingly. So, and again, the template is a chunk of HTML. I have mentioned that earlier, but I will share you some more examples in the slide, in the upcoming slides. And yeah, that's it. So in Angular, the HTML template is a view or user interface. The browser, that is what browser renders. That is what you can see. So if you remember the initial rendering page I have shown you, that is a HTML part which renders on the UI, but the content it has, some kind of dynamic content, will be coming from the TypeScript file. So that is it. So this is a very simple Angular component, HTML part, like a template, Angular template. So which contains h2, p tag, and ul, and some kind of directives from Angular. I will tell about those things later, but that is a simple one. Just it, nothing more. That is the Angular template. You can render this if you can provide all the required methods and the values there. This one can be rendered very easily on your browser. So we have now template, we have now component. or type-script file. So let's talk about how the data is binding, because data binding is an important role. You know that already. I have explained, because I told we are having a tree structure, right? Because in the tree structure, we need to have a communication between parent to child and child to parent as well. Or sometimes within whole application, we need to have a communication. So that is what we are going to discuss. So there will be two bindings mainly in Angular, uh, event binding and property bindings. So in the event binding, you will bind some kind of events or user input kind of things, which is coming inputs as inputs. And there will be property bindings, like you can interpolate values and you can pass values from parent to child, like that. And those are the main two bindings, but there will be some different cases as well. But those are the things which I'm going to tell first to make you understandable. And in this code, you can see all the bindings I have mentioned. In the li tag, you can see the interpolation. So that is how we are displaying the value which is available in the typescript file in the template. So in the template, we can extract out the name from the hero object and display it inside the li tag. But in the same time, if we have a different component called app hero detail, so app hero detail is a component, right? So you can easily identify a component because it is not a default HTML tag. Because if you remember the select I have mentioned earlier, it contains that kind of thing. That is, selector is the one we are adding here. Like app hero detail is a selector of a component we have defined inside the application, which we have taken the example. So in the selected hero, that is how we are providing values. And we have a click event as well, select hero action. So that is one of the event bindings we are going to discuss. So I will explain about this code, but that is the basic things. I told this hero name is an interpolation. That is how you can see the name. And property binding is the value from the selected hero. Like, think about application, we are selecting objects. Like when we have selected one, it will be we need to send it to another component to display the items. So app hero detail is a place we are displaying the hero values. So that is it. And we need to have action, like selecting action, clicking button click action or li click action, in order to select the item. So that is how the event binding things is happening. So those are the main things we need to think about Angular bindings, because as I mentioned, there will be two parts mainly: the values that we are sending to the child and values we are getting from the child in the tree hierarchy. So that is one major part. Other than that, we will have other things as well, like the way of data binding. And Angular supports two-way data binding as well. It is a way of communicating in a two ways. Like here, you can think like you can send the values to the selected hero. That is one way of communication, because once you send the data to the app hero detail in the second line, uh, it only can update the data based on what you sent. But what if the inside the component of app hero detail can be updated the value? It won't be reflected to the parent, because parent is not getting any inputs from the child. Parent is only sending the values. So think in a scenario like we want to have both cases. This will be mostly used when we are adding some inputs, uh, like typing in the input box. We will need this kind of things. And in the two-way binding, uh, this is called like banana in the box in the Angular world. So here you can see we have used normal brackets for the events, and we have used square brackets for the value inputs. But here we are using both, because we are having both cases here, and we are providing it as an ng model. So in here, when we type the value inside the input element, our object will be automatically updated, right? So in that case, you don't need to write any additional on-chain actions. Angular provides all the things itself. So that is one of the useful things. And again, back to the topic, like the main thing in application, what we need to do is we need to send data from parent to child, and we need to take out the data from child to parent as well. So this is how it is done. When we have a parent and child relationship, we are going to use at input that is coming from Angular. I will show about this in my example. And that is how we can push the data to parent to child. And you have seen this already. We have a item detail here. It is a selector, and we have item that is the input value, and that is how a item detail component identifies the value, because here we are sending current item, but inside app item detail only can understand the item. It knows what is item, but it doesn't have value. Once we pass the value from outside, app item detail can easily identify it or understand it, and think I have value now. I can use this for the useful things like that. So this is how we are sending values to the child. And the next thing, next case actually, we need to get updates from child, because in some scenarios child gets updated, and parent need to know that my child is updated now. If I have something to do, I will do it. Most of the time this is using as a listeners, because that is how we are using this feature in application. When a child is updated, parent need to update some other places or need to update the state. So in that case, we use this mostly. Yeah, I have been telling lots of things, but I know this requires elaboration, because the things we have discussed like output, input, and those things are a bit complex and cannot grab in the first place if you are new to Angular. I understand that. And yeah, let's discuss. So I have been telling, we have a template and we have a component, right? So, and I told we have a metadata through decorator. So component knows what is my template. Component is telling my selector is like that, like those things will be included in the metadata. And I told that property bindings here and there. So I told with the property bindings, we can send the values to the template to display. And with the event bindings, we can get inputs from the template to the component, or any other different components in other cases, like I have mentioned input and output as well. So like that. And all the things are happening inside the modules. So in every Angular application, it comes with at least one module. In the initial application, it will be app module, but you can create as many as modules you want to cater your requirement. So that is how the binding and things happening. Because in the Vue.js or React, all the things are packed together, right? Template and the logic will be in the same place or same file, but Vue.js is a bit different. It separates out the things inside same file. Angular, it totally separates all the things, one thing for the HTML file and one thing for the TypeScript file, but that is how it is designed. So this is how the things are connecting actually: property bindings, event bindings, templates, and components. So if you can understand those things basically, and in the more simple manner, you will it will be easy for you to grab the next things which I'm going to tell. So because of that, please let me know if you are unclear on some things. Just drop a chat message. I will try to answer, and I will move to the next thing. The next thing is services. Services in the sense, think there is some other task, right? There is some other task we need to do, but that is not something specifically we need to do, right? That is something some other party think uh, think in the scenario like in the COVID situation, government only allows one person to go out from each family, right? Then in your family you choose your brother or your father to go out, right? You are not doing, but some other person doing, but you need to bring something for you. You need to tell them. So in there, your brother or father will act as a service. It is something, it is not you, but it does something for you, right? The brother or father will go out and bring things that you need, but that is not something you need to do specifically. So that is how service is behaving. It is a broad category actually, but we can consider in Angular, we mainly consider as a service, as a class, but we can think about as a different things as well. But mainly it will be a class. It is a well-defined purpose. That means service is supposed to do only one thing. We don't write services to do lots of things here and there, like if I am telling from the previous example, if we are having a service like father or brother to go out to the shop and bring you something, you cannot use it to get your room clean, right? That is well defined purpose. So cleaning the room is one other thing, but going to shop is a different case. So you cannot combine like this. You can actually, right? You can, but if you're organizing and writing your application in a well manner, you shouldn't do that, right? And I mentioned about this, and services increase the modularity and reusability, right? In the modularity and reusability sense, if some other person from your family wants to bring things, you just need to tell the person who is going out from your family. So that acts as a service and everyone can reuse. So in that case, it is well modularized as well, because it is not what you are doing. It is not your responsibility to go out, but you are leveraging the uh, output from that. So that is how it is. And as I mentioned, by separating the view related functionalities, uh, you can keep your component class very simple and very easy to understand, because it is a good practice to keep your component in a more simplified way. And if your HTML file or component is getting larger and larger, that means you should go for a restructuring. That is a fact actually, right? And when we are working with services, you will see the decorator injectable. So that is how we are injecting the Angular container. We are letting know the Angular container that is something you need to think as a injectable, which can be injectable. And with that, I will be coming into the dependency injection, but I'm not going to go deep. This will be a broad topic, but I will be touching here and there just to give you a better understanding how this thing is happening. So injector is the main mechanism of Angular. That is how things are providing from Angular. Think if we need a service, right? When we need a service, we can create it, right? Think you have a father or brother, you have a robot, right? You have a robot which can go outside and bring things, right? In one home, you don't need to have many robots, right? You only need to have one robot. One robot can go out and bring things, and when you have another requirement, you can you reuse the same robot and send tell it to go out and bring things, right? That is how Angular is doing the same thing. It is not creating the same service again and again and again when we are requesting it to do something, right? It is creating the injectable things in the injector and provide when we need it. So if you remember the earlier code base, I know you can't remember it, but in the earlier code base, I have shown you, it was injecting a hero service. When we are initializing that particular component, it is providing the same instance. Just use it and get the things done. That is it. Not creating a new things again and again. But if if there is a case, you need to have a service again and again, which is not a good practice. But if there are nothing else to do, you just need to create a services again and again. There is another way of doing that, but it is not acceptable. And that is how the container is keeping the services and providing it when needed. So this is it. Like it is coming with injectable and it is coming with provided. This is one way of doing that, but you can just mark your class as an injectable and it will be available in the Angular. And Angular, in this case, Angular will inject in the root. Then you don't need to do anything. You just need to use it when you need. That is it. Uh, so here, and there's one thing called provider. Provider is an object that tells Angular injector how to obtain and create a dependency. So that is one of the internal things I'm not going to touch. But here in the NG module, we tell provider array. These are the things you need to have in order to proceed with the module. So all the services, we can include it here as well to just to use only in that particular module. The service will be only available to this module if we are including it in that way. And in addition to that, we can include the services to the components directly as well, which is not frequently, but if there is a case, you can. And I think this will be more deep things. If you need to learn more, the things will be here. Like I'm not going to tell all the things, like simply DI is wired to Angular framework. It is taking the values and providing the things you when you need. That is it. So I have shown that earlier as well, right? So I'm telling that how these things together, just to conclude this small section. Injector is there. It contains all the services we wrote and it provides when we need it. So that is it. End of the story. So that is how it is done. And the next thing, pipes. Right. Sorry. Pipes is a way we use in Angular to transform the values. Think in a scenario like in the UI, we want to display someone's name with a Mr. or Mrs. like that, right? But in the database, we only contain names and some other prefixes, right? So in that case, if we want to use or to display the things in the UI, what we can do simply is just take both the values like prefix and the name, just to concat the values in the UI and display it. That is one way, right? And the second way, we can create a method to get in that particular user object and concat the values and return the complete string. Without letting the UI to decide how to do it, we do inside it in the component method, but it is still acceptable, but that is not a best way, right? Because if we are creating a method like that and we are calling it from the HTML file, in every render, Angular will call that particular method. So that is a performance concern as well, right? That is why pipes are introduced. We can use pipes to transform or update or manipulate the values which we need to display on the UI just before the rendering. But the best thing is, if we are using pipes, think like we are providing same value again and again and again, uh, it won't be called again, right? It won't be called. That is one of the performance things we can consider. Instead of that, if that is the same value, it takes, it doesn't call it stays as it is without calling that particular pipe. So if you have a different value, it will be called and get a value. So that is how it is happening. And I told Angular is a framework, right? So in that case, Angular provides set of built-in pipes for your day-to-day needs, actually primary needs. There's a date pipe and there's uppercase pipe, lowercase pipe, currency pipe, decimal, like those things will be there. You can find about those things from the Angular documentation, but there will be things. So if I show you a pipe, so you know Natasha, I'm not going to tell about that, but it is that. The Natasha Romanoff birthday is, we need to display it in a format, right? Because in the birthday object can be a date object in JavaScript, but we want to format it in a better way, right? In that case, we can use pipes to do that without doing it in the backend. We just need to use the pipe as the way we want to update. Think we are providing a birthday object, and we are using the date pipe, and we are passing the value to the date pipe. Just give me the full date. So that is how we are giving inputs to the pipes with the colon, and we are telling make it uppercase as well, right? In that case, we are getting output like Monday, December T and 1984, like that. So that is how pipes are using in the HTML file, and it is very useful. That is one of the main things you need to consider if you are going with Angular. And not only that, you can create your own pipes, because I mentioned that you will have different cases you want to manipulate values and display it in the different formats. In that case, you just need to create a custom pipe and use it. So that is about the pipes. And next thing is routing. Actually, you might have heard about that. In single page applications, we navigate to different pages, right? Using different routes. Maybe the first page you are seeing is a root route with a single slash. But you might need to go for the dashboard pages and user home pages, settings pages, like different pages, right? In that case, routing is the functionality you need to think of, because otherwise, because you cannot show all the things in, or render all the things in a one page. You just need to move to the another page. But the best thing Angular does is it won't refresh the browser. It just update the route and bring the new content and push it into the browser. So that is how it is happening, because we mentioned, right? We told that browser is not getting refreshed. But in that case, if you are moving to new route, Angular, if we have configured it in a correct way, because Angular provides a huge support in the routing perspective to have advanced features and as well as very basic features as well. So that is how mainly routing is happening. You just need to move between different views. You will need routes. As I mentioned, it is handled using Angular router. You just need to think about how you need to navigate by updating the URL. It will change the view. And if you are creating an application, you just need to send it with the routing, or otherwise, if you are creating application, it will be also asking that do you need routing in this application or not. So simply, if you say yes, it will create application with routing as well. So in that case, it will be coming with a routing file and injecting the routing module, like so on. So that is how Angular is handling those things. Once you have done that, right, you can define routes, like in the path of first component or home page, you need to display this component. In the second page or second component path, / second component. If you think about your application, myapp.com / second component will be rendered the second component, actual component. If you are thinking about the dashboard, it will be rendered on the dashboard if you have defined the routes in a proper format. So that is it. It is time to get your hands dirty bit, but I'm not going to asking you to code. I will show you a code base which I have written some time back to make you clear how these things are available in the code and how it is happening, right? So this is a very small application I have created some time back. Let me copy it and open it here like that. So this will be a very small application. You can simply start the tasks like that. You can go for here and there, and like task 2 and task type. You need to take task type and edit there, and here it will be available. You can remove it, like those things is happening and timer is continuously going. We can stop it like that. So this is a very small application, very small functionalities, but it comes with without routing. It comes with all the major things you need to know about Angular. So here you can see uh, app module, right? So this is the main module we are writing. Not we are writing, it comes with Angular initial structure. We just need to update our modules when needed, right? Here you can think like toolbar module. It is the toolbar we are having here, this toolbar. It is coming from Angular material. I mentioned all the features which is coming to Angular is coming as a modules. We just need to import it and use it accordingly. So that is how Angular knows. And there's a mat button if you need you use. So right, my application has some buttons. Just import it and use it, like all other same, right? Snack bar and like so on. There's a task module. This module is created by myself here. This is another module. If you go to here, this is the file. I'm not sure you guys can see it clearly. Can you guys see it, the my left panel? Or I can make a little bit large. Can you see it or not? I guess not. No one is talking. I am the only one talking here. You can just send a message or you can just unmute and talk. No worries. Right. Right. Here is the task module, which is the one I have created. Right. We have separated out this module in the sense of making it as a separate unit. But think if we have a separate module like that, we want to reuse it. If in another module, we just need to import it and use it, because it comes with all the required dependencies and other things you need to display and render the component correctly, right? So in here, I have separate components as well, like task view component, task list component, task input component, like all the things. And there's a app component. This is the initial component which comes with Angular. You can see the add component, decorator, and selector, approved, and like that. So if I go here, here you can see, right, approved. So this is the initial HTML application, HTML part we are rendering. So every time when our application is running, these things won't be changed. Only changeable thing is approved. All the time approved, when approved is changing, it is updating and injecting to the DOM, but these are won't change. So this is the styling part I have been using, like I'm using very simple classes here. And I'm having a title variable and constructor. As you guys see, this is a snack bar which is injecting to the application, and it is as a service, right? It is as a service. I'm telling snack bar to open a snack bar with the details I have given, then it will be opening it. Let me show it simply. If I click it here, it will be opening. So it is something my application need, but that is something I don't need to do, because opening up that kind of snack bar can be a separate task. My job is not to create snack bars. My job is to create a task application. So in that case, we are using another service to open up it, right? And this is the HTML part. We have been keep telling there is a file called TypeScript file, and HTML file connects with the app, component. That is it. So it contains material toolbar and the task view. So the material toolbar is the navigation bar you are seeing, and the task view is the second part of the table you are seeing. So that is it simply. And you can define your types here if you need, like in the basic TypeScript that is not related to mainly Angular, as normal things. and you will have test as well. I just added it as like that, but you can do more with testing. I am not going to cover it here. And here again another HTML file which provides some uh, HTML things. And in addition to that, you can see, right, ng container. I'm not going to cover about ng container, but those are the dynamic containers which comes from Angular. There will be several more, two different cases. You can use ng switch kind of things as well. There will be different things, right? So here I have been using ng if directive to decide whether to display the particular task list or not. Because if I don't have any tasks, because here I'm calling task service to get tasks. If there are no tasks like that, I am not going to display it. So ngif is using for that purpose, just to decide whether to display this part or not. And here we have ng4. ng4 is another directive to manipulate the DOM by adding more and more components of the same type, right? I want to display all my tasks. So there I am using a for loop here, and you can see that we have removed and stopped as well. Stop task is another functionality which is coming from the Angular component. Uh, in the stop task, I am calling the task service. So that is the same thing I have told, right? We are getting the features from task service to do one thing. Like if I have a running task, uh, I am telling, okay, let me go there. So here, this is the service. In the service, I am containing the details. This is not the best way because in the correct applications, we are saving those details in the database or some other data store. But just for the demonstration purposes, I have included it here. So my task service contains all the tasks. So it knows what is the current running task, like using here the current. So if I am telling to stop the current one, so it will be stopping the current task which is running here, because my application is designed to run one task per time, right? So, and here you can see input. That is how outside party provide the list of tasks that need to update in the task list. So this is the task list. This is the task list. Outside party is sending it to me as input. We can write in that way and think about the task filter. This is the place we can discuss more about output and input, right? So in here, output means we told, right? Output is the way we are sending values to the outside. Let's check who is the owner, who is the container of this one, right? Here you can see task view component. So in here, task view component is the main part here, right? The main part tells the type selected. Main part is telling the filter component, which is defined in this part, filter component, this part. If you got any update, just let me know. I can update accordingly other things, right? This is what this part is telling. When a type is selected, it is going to be updated. Like the app task filter component is only responsible to tell that I have been selected a different type. You just do your job as the way you want. But this is the my type I have selected. Here I am using billable is a one selected type, and another one as non-billable, right? So those are the two different types. It is just sending to this particular yeah. Yeah, in here, it is just telling to the parent that I have updated via this type selected. When the parent got an update to this, parent got an update from this particular child, parent has another method called filter by type. This function will be triggered, right? This function will be triggered when we have an update from the child. Then again, I am telling my service to this is type we have found. Please go there and update it accordingly. right? This is how we are setting type. So in this case, my task service can go talk with database or data source and update the application accordingly based on the currently selected type. So it is one thing, and here the type is another party. This is how we are telling to the child, that is the thing which is available, or injecting values to the child from parent. So you remember that, right? The square brackets. The square bracket is used to inject the value from parent to child. In that case, app task filter is getting, that is the selected type again, and it is also notifying uh, if the all tasks are empty, we need to disable that. We need to disable the functionality of selecting, because no point of selecting the functionalities once we don't have any tasks to filter, right? In that case, we are telling it as well, like empty. We are telling that I am empty, you don't do anything, just do whatever you want, but I am empty. That is what parent component is telling to the child component, right? When child component is getting that, oh, my parent is empty, then it knows I should be disabled or any other functionality. You can just display a message or any other thing, but that is a responsibility of filter. When there are no values, filter can do it is own thing. So that is how we have separated concerns between parent and child using by passing values. Here you can see like uh, this is not a event. This is a kind of uh, this is a not a JavaScript default event. This is an event we have manually created, output event. Uh, but this you can see the both parties here in the line. Like we are sending value to the component and we are getting values from the component as well. If you check the type selected here, it is written as like that. It is written as event emitter. Here uh, we are telling, if you got any update as a type selected, just emit the event which has a task type. This is a TypeScript code. We are telling the type because TypeScript is mainly based on the types, so that is how it is written. And now here we are writing event emitter. That is how we are watching over the child when we are looking from the parent side. And the input here is a way of getting inputs from outside, getting values from outside. So when it has some when it doesn't have values, it is getting some input from the parent, that parent, I am empty, do your job, like that. So in addition to that, I have separate components here, like countdown component. You guys are seeing it like here, this one. It is also defined as a separate component, and the TypeScript file it contains, and the task component which defines the each rows, and there is an empty state component as well. What we are going to render when there are no tasks, that is what we are going to render in like that, like that. So you have seen, right? The all the buttons are disabled when we don't have any task here, like that. So this is how Angular application is organized, and you will be containing all the assets. The SVG file you have seen just now is included in the assets, and there are more, right? There will be more in the Angular. When you are working, you can define your environments and root styles, which is coming like that, and E2Es, which I'm not going to cover. End-to-end testing for your application can be added, and like that. So those are the uh, walkthrough. Those are can be considered as item of our walkthrough of project of Angular project, actually. And you just need to understand how you need to organize your application. First, you need to think about the UI. By having the UI, you can think how you can make your components, uh, how you can arrange your components in a reusable manner or more meaningful sliced manner, right? So that is it. And if I show you a little bit about ng, I think I have a problem here. Let me check. Yeah, if you type ng after installing, it will tell all the things you have available, command and like so on. Add analytics, how to deploy, how to build, and IIT like localization things, how you can generate like those things. Because if you check, generate is the mostly used command, right? Ng generate help, it will tell what you can generate, like here generate or modify the file based on schematics. I'm not going to tell about schematics much, but that is one of the most useful things. You can generate classes, components, directives, route guards, or interfaces, pipes. We have discussed services, all the things can be generated. And again, ngg is the simplified version for that. Instead of typing the long word generate, you just need to have g, that is it. And ng version is also there, and ng serve is also available, and ng new to create a new application or workspace, like that. So that is how ng things are also happening. And this is the basic structure for a very simple application, as you guys have seen here. Not much features, but it shows all the main things you need to know. So hope you guys had some kind of rough idea about that. And as I mentioned, there are several things I haven't touched here. I just wanted to give you a brief introduction about Angular and showing you the path where you want to start if you want to work with Angular. So here are the things what I haven't touched actually. I haven't touched about observables and Rxjs. That is one of the major parts in Angular. If you are trying to write a big applications, Rxjs will be needed. Observable is we can think it as a listener or watcher or kind of stream of data, like that. But it is a different session. We cannot cover it in one session because I have been talking for a long time now. Though I am talking for a long time, I couldn't finish it because I knew that this cannot be finished this quickly because it is a large and broad topic. Very sorry about that, but that is how things goes. And there will be Angular Universal for the server-side rendering. I haven't touched SEO with Angular. That is also coming with Angular Universal and other things I haven't touched. I told a bit about routing, but there will be a lot of things you need to think in the perspective of routing and how you can write routing with guards and how you can leverage different features, like that. I haven't touched about testing parts like E2E or component test as well. Unit test with Jasmine and Karma, and E2E with Protector. So those are the basic things. And security stuff and performance kind of things and schematics, but touched a bit, but not in a deep manner. Bootstrapping, how Angular is bootstrapping things and how the compiler knows the stuff. And like Angular EV kind of things I haven't touched, and Angular internals as well. Like I touched a bit about dependency injection and other things, but not much, I know. And the forms. Forms is one of the usable things. If you are working with the application, forms is normally form is a kind of thing you mostly used, because even for any application, like for a login, we need forms, right? So that is it. And yeah, so that is all the things I'm going to talk about Angular here. And I'm taking a very small time to give a shout out to for Sri Lanka. For Sri Lanka is doing different kind of activities to keep the community engaged in Sri Lanka, and as well as outside of Sri Lanka as well. Like you can read what we are doing and our applications and our projects, what we are doing from the blog, and the forum is also there. You can join there and ask questions. We are planning these days how we can get more benefits from the forum as well. And in addition to that, there's a voice podcast, voice.foss.lk. You can just go there and check out our podcast. We are discussing about technical things and open source related things there. And this is a YouTube channel of for Sri Lanka as well. uh, I think I copied the wrong link, but just just type for Sri Lanka, it will be on top. And another thing, Dev by Dhanushka, which is my YouTube channel, I will be posting tech things if you are interested there. So that is it. And the references I have used for this session is mainly on Angular IO, and I'm recommending you to go there and read it, because that is the official documentation which contains all the required details. You just need to know what you are looking. So that is the intention of this session. If you are stepping into Angular, I am trying to provide you the jargon. What are the words and things we are talking in Angular? So in that case, you can go to the documentation and find it and learn it, identify it easily. So that is it, Angular IO. Just go to there and check the documentation. It has a pretty good documentation, one of the best documentations I have seen. And image credits, you have been seeing different kind of gifs and images, and like learning material kind of things as well, like injector kind of things. All the things, all the credit should goes to these parties who made these contents available. uh, that was very good thing. And also you can connect with me on those platforms. I'm available on the Facebook, LinkedIn, and other social media platforms as well. I would love to connect and make a network bigger. uh, and other thing, stay safe and keep stay at home these days. So that is the last thing I can ask from you. And now if you guys have any questions, uh, if you guys have any questions, you can ask, or just Google it. No, just kidding. You can ask here in the chat. I'm seeing someone is telling Discord channel would be nice. Yeah, actually, that is one thing. And if you have questions, just drop here. Otherwise, I'm staying if you have questions for a few minutes. And thank you very much for staying with me and inviting me uh, this kind of event and organizing this kind of event, uh, to make the awareness between to make the awareness in the community. And keep up the good work. And thank you very much again for inviting me. I would love to see more this kind of events happening in the FOSS community and the tech community in Sri Lanka as well. Thank you very much.
And thank you for the great session. And I think all of us got a very clear idea about the basics of Angular. So we have created, like, we have organized a Kahoot session. So we invite all of you to join that. We will be putting the link in the chat. So hope you all will join. Uh, so you can just Google www.kahoot.it and enter this pin, or else you can directly click the link we are putting in the chat. So I will repeat again what we have to do. What you have to do is just go to your browser and type www.kahoot.it and type this pin, which is 3463487, and that's all. And on your browser, you will just see your name. You won't be seeing all those names, so like don't panic. You will only see your name. Okay, so we will move on to our questions. You will be given 10 questions. And what you have to do is when you see, like, we will be giving you a question, and on your, you will see 4 boxes. You just have to click whatever the correct box with the correct answer. So let's start. First question. What can we use to build single-page client applications? HTML and TypeScript, HTML and JavaScript, CSS and JavaScript, HTML and CSS. You have 8 seconds, only 3 answers. Okay, time is up. The correct answer is HTML and TypeScript, and 4 people have given the correct answer. So in the first place, we have Kavi. In second place, we have Venom Lime. And in third place, we have Suraf. I hope I'm pronouncing your names correctly. So second question is, what is used to write Angular? HTML, JavaScript, CSS, TypeScript. 10 seconds more. We have 10 answers. So the correct answer is TypeScript, and 6 of have given the correct answer. And again, first place is Kavi, Venom Lime is second place, and Pulse has moved up on the scoreboard and is now in third place. Third question, what is Angular CLI? Angular Application Command Line Interface Tool Editor Module. 10 seconds more. We have 8 answers, 9 answers. Okay, the correct answer is Command Line Interface Tool, and 8 people have given the correct answer. So Venom Lime have moved to the first place, and Kavi is in second place, and third place is Pulse. Fourth question, which component connects a hierarchy with the page document object model? Child component, root component, grandchild component, parent component. 8 seconds more. We have 8 answers. Correct answer is root component and 6 people have given the correct answer. On the scoreboard, we have Venom Line in the first place, Pulse in the second place, and Jayakodi in the third place. Moving on to the fifth question, which module configure the interjector and the compiler and help organize related things together? ng module, app module, browser module, forms module. 10 seconds more. We have 10 answers. People are so fast. 11 answers. So the correct answer is ng module and 7 people have given the correct answer. Again, the first place is Venom Lime and the second place is Pulse, and Warrior 96 have moved up to the third place. Moving on to the sixth question, which of the following are ng module libraries? Forms module, HTTP client module, router module, all. 10 seconds to go. We have 10 answers. Correct answer is all, and 5 people have given the correct answer. In the scoreboard, Pulse has moved up to the first place and Warrior 96 is in second place and Venom Lime is in third place. Seventh question, ng module uses classes with blank for compiling, metadata, functions, modules, and modules. I'm sorry about that. I think we have given the same answer twice. The correct answer is metadata and 5 people have given the correct answer. Again, Pulse is in the first place, Warrior 96 is in second place, and SNJW has moved up to the third place. Eighth question, in during which process the Angular creates an application-wide injector? Compilation, bootstrap process, testing, startup process. 10 seconds more. We have 7 answers, 9 answers, 10 answers. So the correct answer is bootstrap process. And sadly, many people have chosen a wrong answer. Only 10 people have given the correct answer. On the scoreboard, Pulse is still leading. And in second place, we have Warrior 96. And in our ninth question, between which components are Angular binds important for communication? Parent and child components, root and child components, grandparent and grandchild components, root and parent components. 5 more seconds to go. We have 9 answers. Correct answer is parent and child component. We have four people with the correct answer. Pulse is Warrior 96 has moved up. Second place we have Pulse and third place we have Kavi. Last question. What are 2 types of Angular bindings? Building and serving, data and code, data and method, and finally event and property. 10 more seconds to go. We have 9 answers, 10 answers. Correct answer is event and property, and with 4 people have given the correct answer. So let's see who is in the podium. Third place is Pulse. Congratulations. In second place, we have Teva. Congratulations. And in first place, we have Warrior 96. Our heartiest congratulations to all 3 of you. So we hope you will be giving your correct names to our FOSS page via Facebook. And all of us, thank you for joining. It was a good game. So now I think we can move on to the vote of thanks. So over to you, Lakshika.
Thank you, Medini. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lakshika from Rajarata FOSS community. I think all of you got good hands on Angular from today's session. So I'd like to thank Dhanushka for joining with us as our speaker of today's session, even through his busy schedule. We learned a lot from you today. Thank you for joining with us and hoping to see you in many other future events. And thank you so much for being an example for us and guiding us. And also, I thank each and every one of you for joining this session. Let's meet with another verbal session very soon. Good night, all. Stay safe.